Howdy, 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 my name's Anashi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we read about a passive rip in time, some revel rousers, an abandoned farm in China, an incomplete primitive cyborg, and Ed's head. All of them were Euclid, and most of them were uncomfortable, and there was also a pretty heavy focus on dinosaurs for some reason. But in this episode, we're going to start with Word a Day, and then we're going to do the dungeon, the dismemberment strap, heads, and puppet show gloves. So, let's start with that, word a day. It went from anomalous to safe. And this is a page from SCP-566. The word and its definition have been blurred out for security reasons. It looks like there's a letter G in it, though. All copies of SCP-566 are to be stored in low valuable items storage on Site 10. Any new instances of 566 are to be assessed by a designated researcher with level 4 clearance for this purpose. Uncontained instances of 566 are to be treated as a Keter level threat. To this extent, Foundation operatives are to regularly inspect the stock of bookstores and libraries for instances of SCP-566, as well as any other literature or stationery published by Living Language Linguist League. Websites, file sharing sites, and forums are to be monitored for scanned or transcribed 566 contents and DMCA takedowns issued if any such is found. Any new reports of anomalies are to be cross-checked and cross-checked with known 566 contents database in order to both ensure a standard response and to make sure any copies of it potentially present are found. The classification of 566A is to be used for anomalies related to its use. See document alpha for list and associated containment procedures. It's not that list. SCP-566 refers to a set of tear-off desk calendars sold under the name Word a Day 2009 edition, wacky wordables and idiosyncratic idioms, with manufacturer listed as Living Language Linguist League. No records of a company or association exist. The front page, where present, includes a black and white logo consisting of a stylized tongue and a top hat, raising a champagne glass in one hand and holding a book in the other. It used to say the instances themselves exhibit no known anomalous properties, but now it says, with a sample analysis showing no deviation from listed or expected composition. The base is assembled from molded PVC parts, with the calendar itself printed using common printing inks on standard coated fine paper, joined with polyvinyl acetate glue. The only known anomalous property of 566 occurs when an individual reading an entry taps a bolded word in the entry definition with his index finger. The contents of the page change, displaying the definition of the tapped word. The new entry retains this property. The meaning of returning the entry to its original state and are currently not known, or the means. SCP-566 was declared anomalous due to its contents. While approximately 80% of the entries consist of uncommon English words, the remainder can be categorized according to Table 1. Definition of mundane words or idioms coined post-publication date. Proportion approximately 3%. Example, socializing. Definition listed: using the internet or other electronic devices to socialize with people from home rather than meeting them face to face. First public mentions of word appear in 2010, but it's a calendar from 2009. Definition of mundane words or idioms not previously known, approximately 10%. To Brezhnev. To cover with a thick metal plating, after L.I. Brezhnev, General Secretary of CPSU, known for wearing an excessively large amount of metals. Definition of words referred to anomalous subjects or events, approximately 4%. Fifflestinks. A fifthist worshipper from their tendency to turn themselves into sentient smoke. He's full of it like a tent full of fifflestinks, instead of a teller of fanciful stories, a liar. Definitions explicating anomalous acts or events, 2%. Gobsacking, noun. A trick usually done by hungry college students which goes as follows. A number of them, usually 6 to 12, meet and redacted to form an extra-dimensional pocket inside the mouth of one of them, referred to as the gobsack. The fellows will then pool their money for an all-you-can-eat pizza parlor's entry fee. They wait outside while the gobsack enters and artfully pretends to eat as much pizza as he deems sufficient, stuffing it into the pocket without chewing. The rest of the group await him outside, where they will redact it and partake in the loot. Yeah. Definitions of words or idioms referring to classified subjects or events. Less than 1%. To brundle about. To show markedly less activity than doing nothing, after brundle, a pet mass of cellular matter of Dr. Blank. Information appears classified in the SP-726 file. We'll get there someday. It is of note that individual instances of 566 differ in approximately 20% of their contents, with no clear pattern in the distribution of the differences. As of now, 56 instances of it have been contained. See Addendum 1 for salient content samples. And I guess that's that right there. Let me just open that in a separate window. Recovery log. First known instance of 566 was recovered from the house of J blank F blank, after his unsuccessful attempts to follow 566 definition to Boscovize, see Addendum 1, which resulted in him splitting into 16 ambulatory sentient segments. 566 was reclassified as safe after redacted led to the recovery of additional instances of 566, which differed in content from 1, resulting in the need for a systematic containment procedure not consistent with the anomalous item classification. So Addendum 1 is this, and Addendum 2 is see Incident 566-1. On October 27, 2012, a catalog arrived at Site 10, which currently houses 566. There was no return address provided. Its front cover consists of the text Living Language Linguist League and the company logo. An attached note read, "Heartfelt greetings, friends of the written word. Although data expunged, 2 antecedent years have been a trying time for all of us. We have not, as you might have feared, gone Hellenius. Instead, we offer you a crisp new 2013 edition of our wacky wordables and idiosyncratic idioms word-a-day calendar. And there's more! For incisive minds, playful spirits, and connoisseurs of obscurity, we have daily calendars featuring terms from speleology, surgery, and redacted, pardon the pun. The early bird gets the worm, and the early buyer gets a 20% discount. Wait no more, and word up. Inquiries made throughout the site revealed that nobody had requested any such catalog, and testing revealed that it was not anomalous. So for some reason, the Living Language Linguistics League sent the Foundation a catalog to order the new ones, so that they could just have them, I guess. So let's check out that contents. It doesn't look long enough to have to add it to an SCP Saturdays. To facilitate keeping a unified knowledge base of 566 contents, all entries considered anomalous as per Table 1 are to be logged with the following format to facilitate computer processing. The instance number, the calendar date, the word or idiom, the definition. So instance number 1, the date, January 13, 2009, word or idiom, Hellenius. Portmanteau of Hellenic and odious. And a remarkably bad economic situation coined by Nikos blank after Greek economic collapse caused by the 2000-something olive plague. January 15th, 2009. Scabbard, Abel's, and Arse. After Abel, a redacted said to have been bound by the blank who could materialize swords out of nowhere. Okay, so that's talking about, like, actually Abel. Okay, Abel's Scabbard. Okay. February 11th, to Boscovize. To split oneself into multiple bodies of shared mind, most commonly done by redacted, and forcing the blank into the newly grown mouth, upon which the body splits seamlessly. Popularized by Don Giovanni Bosco, a 19th century Italian Catholic priest. In a broader sense, Boscovist is used to describe a noisy, overbearing person, as in the children's rhyme, Boscovist, Boscovist, where you look, there he is. I feel like that's not actually a thing. February 19th, 2009. Oldman Smooch. Definition, gangrene. After data expunged, whose secretions have a corrosive effect on human tissue. February 21st. Ear blind. Unable to navigate using sound. February 26th. Promethean Airline. An explosion. Next thing John knew, he was riding the Promethean Airline. He was thrown away by an explosion. Promethean Airline ticket. Explosive device. After Prometheus Labs, an organization notorious for poor workplace safety. And that Prometheus Labs actually there, I believe, is... I think I have a thing saved for that to be an SCP Saturday at some point. March 3rd. Keter's Sweater. From Keter, a designation for highly hazardous objects requiring active containment measures used by the SCP Foundation. 1. Advanced means of personal protection such as those issued to mobile task forces. Put on your Keter sweaters, guys, we're going skip hunting. 2. Naysayer, coward, excessively scared person. I heard Jim hasn't eaten properly ever since he's been posted at Redacted. Yeah, he's such a Keter sweater. Researcher Western. March 20th. To chill detach. To apply any sort of media on any platform to be judged by other people without seeking prior feedback on that media. Author, this article has been clearly chill detached, with numerous grammar and spelling errors scattered throughout. Please check feedback on your article before posting. August 21st. Okay, that was researcher Picaro. Word or idiom to denasate. To cut off one's nose. Following their sentencing, the prisoners were denasated. I like how it went from just being random silly things to being about things within the universe to being things within the website itself. That's interesting. Next up is the dungeon. It's Euclid. Site 41 has been established at the former Blank Castle for the purpose of containing SCP-567. The entrance to it is to be kept sealed at all times. All cell doors will be monitored off-site via CCTV. In the event that a door is opened or breached, Task Force Delta 9 Hacks is tasked with containing the instance of 9 immediately. If containment proves impossible, termination is authorized. Because of the nature of 567 and the proximity to it that TF Delta 9 will be working, to join TF Delta 9, an applicant must have a clean criminal record, have never committed any crime, even at the orders of the Foundation, but have moderate political beliefs, have strong convictions as to the importance of upholding the law, and have a strong fear of offending others with their actions. Huh. I could almost be in Delta 9. 567 is located in the dungeon beneath Site 51, located in Data Expunged. It consists of a series of 8 cells, designated 1 through 8, with the majority of people/objects in cells remain inert. However, when individuals meeting certain conditions come within 2.5 meters of the cell door, shackles will materialize and launch from the inside of the cell, restraining the subject and dragging them within. It sounds like the Velvet Room for Persona 5. Once the cell door closes and locks, both the subject and shackles vanish, leaving behind no trace of any kind. Each cell appears to have its own unique trigger conditions in order to activate, which seems to involve committing some sort of criminal or heretical act. These triggers and resulting responses are similar to other anomalies involving disproportionate law enforcement, such as SCP-1002 and SCP-2701. Cell trigger conditions. They have committed theft, or for 1, theft, 2, rape, 3, murder involving blank, 4, murder involving blank, 5, unknown, addendum 1, 6, expunged, 7, expunged, 8, unknown. 8 is unique in that, unlike the other cells which all stand empty, it contains a single wooden chair. The chair is nailed to the floor in the center of the room and appears to be many years old, though it does not rot. 8 has never activated. On rare occasions, the cell doors of 567 will open and release an entity, given the designation 9X, the X being replaced with an integer. 9 usually takes the form of a previously undiscovered creature, and is always aggressive. Once out of its cell, 9 typically attempts to break out of 567. There appears to be no common trait with the creatures, given designation 9, except that they tend to be very aggressive and relatively intelligent. As well, every instance of 9 has had burn marks around its appendages. See Incident Report Log 5674012 for details. Is it in here? It is not in here, it's its own separate thing. Let's open that in a new window so we can see what it looks like. On only 2 occasions have individuals placed inside a cell by the Foundation reappeared. In the first instance, D-903912 escaped from 68 hours after being placed in it. He was suffering from severe injuries, including several lacerations, internal bleeding, and burn marks around his wrists and ankles. They died several minutes after reappearing, before TF Delta 9 could reach him. In the second, 937122 appeared 157 months after being placed in 6. They attacked Foundation personnel on site despite also having suffered serious injuries, including head trauma, several missing fingers, and burn marks around her wrists and ankles. Once restrained, she was interrogated by a member of the task force. See the audio log. And here it is. Please state your name. Please state your name. Look, I'm very sorry and I want to help you, but we can't give you medical attention unless you cooperate with us, so please state your name for the record. My name? You want to know my name? Fuck my name! There's no name! There's no anything, but there is. I escaped! I got the medal off. None of the data expunged. I should be free! Let me go! She's heard struggling, apparently attempting to escape. I apologize, but now we have the opportunity to... Interrupting the agent. Fuck your opportunity! There's no opportunity! There's only escape! You called me a monster! Maybe I am one, but the nightmares... Compared to their crimes, I've done nothing! Nothing at all! They did expunge. I haven't done anything wrong. Nothing. At this point, she breaks down into hysterical sobs. The agent attempts to calm her, but she only grows more hysterical. She begins gasping for air and appears to go into cardiac arrest. Attempts to revive fail. During the autopsy, the body is revealed to be covered in tiny puncture wounds and has an unknown toxin in her bloodstream. Addendum 1. Further testing with 5 has revealed that it is triggered by those who have committed adultery. It is also noted that not all individuals who have committed theft trigger 1. Consistent patterns have not yet been established. What room does she come from? 3. Okay, one of them came from 3. And this one came from 6. And it's data expunged for what gets you pulled into 6. And how long is 157 months? Divided by 12. She was in there for 13 years. Wow. Okay. So what's up with the incident report log? Oh, that's not that many. Okay, also my cell phone is freaking out, but I'll get to it. May blank 19 something. Subject 9-1. Though there were 2 reported instances of 9 before the Foundation arrived, one was the first instance observed by the Foundation. It was discovered by Agent Blank and was approximately 2 meters in length. Though it walked on 4 limbs, its front limbs had human-like hands, capable of operating complex devices. It was quite intelligent and was able to deduce the operation of a data expunged. There were a total of 14 casualties prior to its containment. June something, 19 something. 2. It appeared shortly after Site-41 was fully established and quarantined and took the form of data expunged. Foundation personnel suffered 9 casualties before it was destroyed with remote explosives. Agent Blank, who participated in the containment of 2, is currently undergoing psychological counseling for his experience. July something. Subject disposable dude 834-200. They were used as a part of testing to determine the trigger conditions for each cell. When placed in front of the cells, 6 and 7 both activated simultaneously and attempted to draw them in. After a brief struggle, they were redacted. The individual body parts vanished as per the usual once drawn completely into the cell. So whatever 6 and 7 are, this person got attacked by both of them. July something, number 5, or 9-5. During testing of SCP-5674, when the cell door was opened, 5 manifested and immediately attacked and killed Dr. Black without warning. It took the form of data expunged. Due to the presence of a high-value personnel, standard containment procedures were not feasible. After a total of 7 casualties, Redacted was able to lure 9-5 back towards 4, at which point it activated, drawing 5 back into it. December something 2000 something. 9-8. On December something 2000 the door to 7 was observed to open and close via CCTV, but no instance of 9 appeared on the monitoring system. 2 weeks later, Redacted was found dead in his bed in circumstances identical to deaths involving 966. Mobile Task Force Iota-1 was dispatched and located 8 within Site-41. 8 appeared similar to an instance of 966 with variations in data expunged. 8 was successfully contained and facility cameras were upgraded to observe additional wavelengths. And that was almost a whole 400 SCPs from here, so. Next up is the Dismemberment Strap. As they remain safe in Euclid while being completely terrifying, well, the word today wasn't completely terrifying, the dungeon was messed up, and the Dismemberment Strap sounds like it's also going to be messed up. 568 requires no unique considerations and is stored in Storage Locker 28002 in Sector 28. Testing with 568 must be authorized by level 3 personnel. 568 has the appearance of a flexible white strap 70 by 8 by 0.2 centimeters. An unbroken seam on one side runs down its length, precisely along the center. The other side of 568 is smooth and identical in texture to the seam side. The material 568 is made of is unknown with some similarities to leather. When the smooth side comes into contact with the seamed side, both the two surfaces will adhere firmly to each other as if glued. The surface can be peeled apart with moderate effort and no damage to 568. When it is wrapped around an object with both ends overlapping at a minimum of 1 centimeter, the object may be split along the seam. To bisect the object, one must be twisted counterclockwise 1/2 turn as if loosening a screw. The surface of the cut does not display a cross-section of the object, only an impermeable white surface. To reassemble the object, the cut ends must be in contact and twisted clockwise 1/2 turn. They cannot be removed when split in this fashion. Tests conducted by Dr. Weiss and J. Candle, dated blank 2000 something. Item, steel rod, bisected and reassembled. Again, steel rod bisected and reassembled at 1/2 at 180. The bisected area joined seamlessly. Interestingly, it could be removed even when both halves ended up misaligned in this experiment. 2 steel rods, wrapped around both, care taken out to leave air pockets at the edges. Bisection failed, removed. 2 steel rectangular prisms. I feel like, okay, yeah, I was going to say eventually they're going to start using it on people. But I see that they do. Rectangular prisms wrapped around both. Bisection failed. One glass container filled with water. Item bisected and the lid removed. The white surface on the bisected region was not visible when when one looked through the cylinder. Instead, one saw whatever the other half of the cylinder was pointing towards. Tilting either showed water draining out of the container. Similarly, refilling the container showed a stream of water entering the bottom half. Item reassembled. Application of 568 as a portal window under consideration. One hollow plastic cylinder. Bisected. When placed through the cylinder, objects including water, a steel rod, HB pencil, Dr. Weiss's arm, and a glass marble were observed to smoothly pass through. Item reassembled. Subject disposable dude 1617. Wrapped around their lower arm and bisected. Reported no pain and was fully capable of manipulating his hand, even from a distance of 20 meters. Reassembled. Disposable 1618. Wrapped around their lower arm, left arm, and bisected. Arm reassembled at 180 degrees. When removed, the subject lost all sensation in his hand and complained of a sharp stinging in the bisected area. While the arm had reattached seamlessly, deep bruising quickly developed under the skin. Pain rapidly increased until the subject had to be sedated. Close examination of the subject's arm showed the blood vessels and nerve endings no longer met, and it was effectively cut off from the rest of the body. They were terminated. I was completely expecting them to use it on the person's necks, but seeing as the next entry is called heads, maybe they just wanted to wait. It's Euclid. 569 are currently contained at Bioresearch Site 66. Contained instances of 569 are to be sealed within a 1 meter cubed steel crates and immersed in ice water baths when not under research. If containment is breached, aggressive instances are to be neutralized through application of aerosolized liquid nitrogen. Is it still liquid nitrogen if it's aerosolized? Because that's gas. Anyway, passive instances are to be herded back into a containment crate and returned to containment. Personnel injured by 569 may be treated by amputation of affected surfaces. Severely affected personnel are to be terminated. Matter produced by agitated instances of 569 is to be ground into powder and utilized in site construction. Aggravated instance of 569 launching material at a wall. Is that a tiny floating skull? Shooting confetti? 569 appears to be a collection of 46 animate disembodied floating human heads. All instances are identical, resembling a bald man in his late 40s. Analysis reveals that 569 are sculpted from Silicauga marble. No further anomalous materials are present. 569 will usually congregate into a loose swarm and float aimlessly at a mean height of 10 meters. Individuals were randomly shift between several identical expressions, ranging from apparent joy to considerable distress. No pattern or probable cause for these shifts may be found. They are hypothesized to be simply random. In addition, instances of 569 appear to react to temperature variances. Temperatures below 4 degrees centigrade render them inert, which is also Celsius. If an instance of 569 is assaulted by a human, a sudden movement is perceived in its direct field of vision, or a sufficiently sudden loud noise occurs in the immediate vicinity, the affected instances will transform into an aggregated state and attempt to destroy the source of aggression or noise. The transformation involves said instance seemingly dissolving into the shape of a human skull, then launching a colorful material spray in the general direction of its target. This material will rapidly harden into colored marble, coating the target in a heavy, sharp shell. This marble produced from 569 is chemically similar to the normal Silicauga marble that 569 consists of, but contains simple pigmentation to lend to its various hues. In addition, the colored portions are fused solid sheets of marble. No seams, cracks, or similar structural flaws are present after setting. 569 will continue launching this material at its target until the target has been completely covered. Material will fuse at the molecular level to the target's surface. At this point, the substance will revert to its calm state and resume aimlessly floating. Addendum cross-testing. Due to recent developments, proposal regarding cross-experimentation with SCP-2860 have been suspended. Okay, so it's not spitting confetti, it's just spitting marble shards. And now it's time for Puppet Show Gloves! That are safe. SCP-570 is to be contained within a reinforced steel containment locker. No personnel are permitted to wear 570, and all subjects who have worn it during testing are to have it removed immediately afterwards. Personnel who've worn 570 are to be given medical treatment for their hands following removal. 570 is a pair of cotton gloves. When worn, they will extend between 100 to 150 cotton fibers into the outer epidermal layer of the subject's hand. Removing 570 after this point will cause extreme damage to the subject's epidermal and muscle tissue. Following initial exposure to 570, these fibers will migrate throughout the subject's body, eventually establishing contiguous connections to 80% of the subject's muscle tissue. Subjects affected by 570 are classified as 571. Instances of 1 are capable of controlling the actions of any living organisms they have physically contacted while wearing 570. Subjects are connected to 1 via several strings, which are produced from its fingers. These strings are not composed of the same material as 570, instead they contain DNA and match the composition of 1's muscle tendons. With practice, instances of 1 are capable of controlling up to 20 subjects at once, by extending multiple strings out to the affected areas, subjects, from their fingertips. Note that the 1 instance controls the others by use of physical movement. Subjects will have to act carefully due to the potential of tangling 570 strings where there is a large number of affected subjects. 1 subjects appear to be endowed with some basic knowledge of puppeteering techniques. However, instances with a background in marionette use will be more able to utilize 570. After bringing multiple subjects under their control, 1 instances and subjects will begin to seek out any gathering of prepubescent subjects and use the person they have attached themselves to in order to put on puppet shows. 1 and its affected subjects will recreate any stories they know which are easily understood by children and usable with the number of persons they have under their control. These puppet shows may last from anywhere between 1 hour and several days depending on the length of the story and the number of subjects involved. Following the completion of the show, all subjects will be released from 1. Subjects who were under 570's control will suffer no immediate side effects after being released, with the exception of a strong sense of longing. Because of this, many subjects will eventually try to take possession of 570 and attempt to create the shows of their own. Subjects will claim that they experience extreme feelings of joy and belonging when performing and wish to give these feelings to others. The effect is not universal and will only manifest in subjects who previously displayed symptoms of depression and anxiety. 570 was recovered from Uncle Pappy's Magic Emporium, which was a magic trick slash puppeteering business. The proprietor of the store had become in 1 instance and used 570 on the parents of children who came to his store. Following reports from local law enforcement officers after witnessing 570, Foundation personnel were deployed and containment was enacted. As of September the 18th, 1976, it has been classified as safe. Testing log 570. Test A. 1 and 6 disposable dudes. He was instructed to perform Cinderella using the disposable dudes. The show was performed without incidents with overarching narration provided by 1. The test was performed as a baseline for the properties. 1 and 6 rabbits, instructed to perform a reenactment of the book Watership Down. They used no dialogue in the play. When asked, it claimed that such an action would be unrealistic. The test was performed to establish a baseline for 570's effect on animals. 1. 7 completely paralyzed disposable dudes. 1 was instructed to use them in a play of Peter Pan. The play was performed by 1 and the disposable dudes, with 1 providing all the lines for the disposable dudes in addition to narration. They were noted to have difficulty speaking following the test. Later tests have shown that once mute, 1 will simply act out the motions of the performance without any dialogue. Disposable dude, 570 and 3 disposable dudes. Test conducted for 6 days, 7 hours. 1 and the disposable dudes were provided with sustenance. However, all of them were not able to eat while being controlled by 1. Following 4 days of testing, they had all expired due to malnutrition and exhaustion. 1 continued using the cadavers in the performance, providing narration in a manner similar to Test G. After 5 days had passed, the tissue surrounding the strings began breaking down, and after 6 days and 7 hours, the flesh connecting this object to 1 had decomposed and severed the connection. Analysis NA. Addendum 2, notes on 570 fiber composition. Samples taken from the cotton fibers used by 570 to link 1 and its affected subjects have been shown to match the composition of initial samples taken from SCP-2991. Due to the possibility that this particular fiber composition may be partially responsible for the effects of both anomalies, anomalous materials analysis on samples from both objects is currently underway. Now, I don't know if any of the people who watch my channel know what Watership Down is. I've never seen it, I've never read it, but if I'm aware of it, and if you are also aware of it, you should know why this particular play was probably completely messed up. Completely messed up. Anyway, that about does it for this episode. In the next episode, we're actually, since it's going to be episode 125, if I'm not mistaken in my counting, we're going to be doing 10 entries for that episode instead of 5. So we're going to start with 571, the self-propagating infectious pattern, and we're going to go up through to Shi Huang Ti's 5 Heaven Chariot. So, this has been Anashi Sasuke. This was episode 124 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. And I will see y'all in the next one. Later.